Today we're going to talk about the intelligent edge and why it's important. But before we do that, it's probably worth providing a little bit of context. As we all know, of course, the industry is moving at a blistering pace. Disruption is taking place across practically all sectors and all around the world. And at Intel, we ask ourselves, which disruptions do we see as a huge opportunity moving forward? And at the same time, which ones do we see as a fairly significant threat? So forward planning, in these types of environments is clearly a challenge, and how we, plan for the unpredictable is a key factor in terms of how competitive we're going to be moving forward, or possibly, quite the opposite. And who would have thought, at the end of 2019, what we would have faced, certainly over the last 18 months or so. And maybe to use a quote from the boxer, Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until you're punched in the face. When lockdown started, around the world, points of demand moved overnight, where we saw vast volumes of traffic shifting from predictable commercial buildings with, fiber connections to really largely residential areas where we had varied fixed line connectivity. And as people became confined to their homes, we saw video streaming, gaming, productivity tools and educational tools go through the roof. And at the same time, these networks and infrastructures had to accommodate mission critical healthcare and also emergency services as well. And here we are 18 months later, and we're still not out of it. And certainly in our discussions, many of the trends that we saw before the pandemic have only been accelerated over the last 18 months or so. And of course, technology has made a major contribution on how organizations have either survived or in some instances actually thrived. And today, virtually everything looks like a computer, whether it's a PC, a phone, a car, a manufacturing site, or even a hospital. So Matt, what kind of key inflection points do we see in the industry right now?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. So firstly, I think there's a driving need for exponentially more computing. Every node around us is increasingly digital, and it's that digitalization of everything that's been markedly accelerated through the COVID pandemic. And again, this has spurred innovation and new models of working, learning, interacting, and even caring. So technology is increasingly central to every aspect of human existence, and semiconductors are really the foundation of that. And as our CEO describes, the four superpowers that will be prominent in powering digital disruption are going to be cloud, connectivity fueled by 5G, artificial intelligence, and also that intelligent edge, really driving the rapid digital transformation of nearly every part of our lives. So we at Intel, we're helping customers capitalize on that fastest growing opportunity by positioning ourselves and our customers for growth. And today we're going to explore the intelligent edge area. So we're asked often, what is the intelligent edge? And for us, the intelligent edge refers to the analysis of data and the development of solutions close to or at the site where data is generated. And so why is that important? Why are organizations making the shift to the intelligent edge? Well, firstly, the whole industry is shifting at a fast pace towards edge computing. 75% of data will be processed at the edge outside of the traditional data center or the cloud by 2025. And the reasons here are multifold. Number one, there's an explosion of data generated across various edge locations from which businesses want to derive those actionable insights that can positively drive business value. Number two, there's a rise of AI and analytics as well as the advent of 5G. And all of this is propelling a significant change in industry. And then finally, number three, in addition to 5G being a catalyst, there are a number of drivers such as latency, bandwidth, as well as end-to-end security and frictionless connectivity that are fueling this shift to the edge. So as Intel looks at the edge computing, we look at it from two different angles. On one side, we're looking at ways to extend network transformation and cloudification from the core to the edge. And at the same time, we're also looking at ways that we look at from an IoT perspective, where that single function embedded device are really being transformed into the multi-function intelligent edge platforms. So this comprehensive and complementary approach puts Intel and our partners in a really strong position to create robust edge platforms, both on premise edge as well as the network or the telco edge. Rob, what are you hearing?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I agree. And I think there are many aspects as to why the intelligent edge is crucial. But in a nutshell, for me, the intelligent edge is really expected to help organizations make real-time decisions in a matter of milliseconds. So as you said, value creation is not just about the collection of data. It's really about what you do with it, what decisions you can make upon it, what insights you get, and as important, obviously, the ability of the organization to actually implement it. So, you talked about the four superpowers, including connectivity. With the advent of 5G, we've seen compute and communications hyper-converged. And this has also been enabled by the very significant, transformations within the telecommunication networks over the last decade or so. So it really means that, intelligent, fully software-defined 5G networks can deploy capacity in a flexible way, right? Meaning that we can now address many challenges that otherwise would have been impossible. And of course, the edge becomes critical due to the need to move data closer to the source of data creation and also closer to the source of data consumption as well. And this transformation, expands the core network, the radio access network, all the way out to the edge. And this was traditionally made up of fixed function type devices, and network capabilities these days are almost fully virtualized, which means that, in other words, the network has now become fully cloudified.
Yeah, so let's look at some key considerations as well and challenges that keep coming up in the context of edge. Again, number one, most of our customers are in the brownfield area, dealing with legacy infrastructures and systems and really trying to find ways to add service capability without having to do that complete architectural overhaul. And they're looking at open systems that don't lock them in with a vendor, but also have that room for scalability. Their IT and OT systems are converging, and they're trying to transform these single function boxes into those diverse workloads that I spoke about earlier. And from a services standpoint, a key consideration is enabling the developer community with cloud native tools that can speed up and democratize applications and really look to support that rich and robust ecosystem. And then finally, our customers are looking for edge native architectures that provide heterogeneous compute to optimize performance for high reliability deployments at the edge.
As we've discussed before, of course, none of this matters unless it's addressing a specific industry issue or opportunity. For example, car manufacturers have dramatically improved their quality control processes through inference at the edge because they're able to catch defects in real time, which reduces, or in many cases, eliminates a lot of very expensive remedial work. Earlier we talked a little bit about latency, and today if you look in a factory, it's full of robots, and these robots require real-time control. And the reason they require that is because you need to have safety around the workers, so it has to be real-time. And typically what you'd do is you'd hardwire these robots within the factory, which is very, very expensive. And also if you want to reconfigure your factory, of course, it's extremely difficult to do it. With 5G and also the intelligent edge, you're able to remove that, right? Driving a lot more flexibility in those types of environments. And also what you see is the use of things like automated guided vehicles, which also require, like robots, real-time control. So there are quite a few examples where you can drive solutions to, support employee safety, and organizations can, deploy video monitoring solutions, including, analysis of video data that avoid accidents and dramatically reduce downtime. In fact, there was a recent a case study together with AdLink, Intel and AWS for a high volume warehouse distribution and logistics organization that were looking to increase automation to replace what they had as a manual scanning process to package products up on pallets. And what they found with the implementation of this solution was a 90% increase in pallet accuracy and a 41% increase in time to market. And if you think about the supply chain challenges around the world that we have right now, these types of improvement are really a very, very big deal. And if you think about, for example, the sporting environment, the capability to deliver real-time statistics to data-hungry consumers, delivering a much more compelling user experience, boosting up viewer engagements, new revenue streams, and increased audience sizes is also a very interesting growth area. And there are many, many more, aren't there, Matt?
Yeah, and I just want to pick on that warehouse example that you raised and then move industries into retail. If you look at predictive inventory, supply chain management, some of the use cases like last mile delivery in retail is really a poignant, especially during the pandemic, has become a really important strategy for retailers. Likewise, as you return to the store, having dynamic experiences, personalized experiences are going to be really important to keep that brand loyalty, keep that consumer loyalty. So right the way through from the supply chain and optimization and then right to the front of house in terms of personalizing user experiences, the use of the intelligent edge is going to be so important to really store, move, process that data to drive those meaningful business outcomes. And if you move into healthcare, for example, during the pandemic, we've seen a great demand for increased compute to, reduce screening errors, to drive AI-powered diagnostic tools, looking at patient vitals, so having that real-time data, but also the security of that data is really, really important. So speeding up the transfer of information, having real-time accuracy with security is a really high priority. And then when you aggregate industries, Rob, you move that into a smart city environment. There's really good examples there, right, as well?
Yeah, that's right, because when you think about city rollouts, they encapsulate a very large amount of use cases. There's an example that we're working on at the moment that includes the implementation of holographic solutions for the education sector and distance learning. We're working on autonomous connected sustainable vehicles for passenger transport. That also includes flexible systems for logistics within the city. And another one is also improving the control and management of high footfall areas. And these are not necessarily consistent. In some areas, for example, in hot areas, you may have, systems around beaches and things like that in the summer. And these projects are being used basically to develop new generation mobile networks specifically dedicated to manage public safety and city emergencies in full collaboration, of course, with local governments and police forces. And all of this is made possible through the four superpowers that we talked about earlier on. I mean, really, the examples are endless. And as you mentioned, Matt, security is also probably in the center of all of these things. We see the opportunity when you distribute your compute, your storage, your applications within that vast array of the network, if you will, you become less prone to a single event, right? So that's very, very important. But one thing's for sure with all of these things, and that is no one company can do it alone. Partnering across the industry will be essential, to realize opportunities. And that's why Intel and AWS are working extremely closely together, building on our rich past and also looking forward to an exciting future. So partnership is absolutely key in the industry, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, as you said, especially in the intelligent edge area, no one company can deliver all the requirements required to really drive industry use cases. It's about ecosystem collaboration, a relentless focus to serve industries as well as our collective customers. And it takes a partnership, collaboration, that customer first mindset to really drive the positive change that we all want to see within industries. And this is why we're so proud to be working with AWS. We have a strong and really reliable engineering partnership for over 14 years. We've collaborated with AWS and partners along that holistic digital transformation journey. And we've delivered high performance results to industry as well as through a world-class supply chain. So we're very privileged and proud to have that relationship with AWS.
Yeah, Matt, as you said, partnership is critical in industry. And of course, we're very, very focused in terms of what kind of impact we can have in a kind of social environment as well. And if you think about what we're doing in our pandemic response initiative, we've got an example here with Intel, AWS and Mac Computing that have deployed a private network solution that will cover a 3/4 mile area to enable remote learning and broadband access to essential services for the underserved community in Sacramento, California. And what this private network does, of course, is it brings students and teachers together with this high-speed connectivity, and it basically delivers equitable education and remote learning, and it's using as part of the solution the edge compute to deliver video analytics services and applications around that as well. And it's these types of things, just to pick this example, that are really contributing to closing the digital divide, which is generally, obviously having broader implications in underserved communities as we stand at the moment. And we at Intel certainly are very, very focused in terms of creating world-changing technology that enriches the lives on every person on Earth. And our solutions, we hope, will unleash the unlimited potential of data, leading to innovations that improve people's lives all over the world.
Thanks, Rob. And as you highlighted, Intel's got a bold goal of enriching the lives of every person on the planet. And we're looking at technologies and solutions that are really changing the world, from delivering education solutions to tackling climate change, future vaccine development. These are all real world problems that we're collectively looking at. And I think as we wrap and we look to close this session, it's really about not just what we make individually, it's what we make possible collectively that's going to define the momentum that we create in the industry.